today we're making my English muffin recipe. We've had this recipe on the blog since 2013, but we've never done a video for it, and I just wanted to show you guys how easy this recipe is. You don't need to heat up the kitchen. Our AC is actually broken right now in the house, so I'm really happy about that because these are cooked on the stove, and it happens super quick. So I have all the ingredients here, and let's get to it. Okay, so this dough is super simple. It's literally flour, salt, and some activated yeast with water and sugar and some yogurt. And I've also heard that from readers that sour cream works well if you don't have yogurt. You're gonna get this really soft dough that's pretty easy to work with. And we're just gonna knead it for about 10 minutes. And then the process is basically letting the dough rest a little bit, rolling it out, cutting the English muffins with circles. Or a circular cutter. I just use like a drinking glass. And then you let them rise and cook them in a pan and you're done. And they taste so much better than any English muffin you're gonna buy at the store. And they also freeze great. So if you make a batch of these, you'll get like, you know, a little over a dozen, and you can just put them in a zippered bag in the freezer, and they will last for a few months. And yeah, and you'll see at the end all of the nooks and crannies that we get in these English muffins. So the dough is a bit sticky today, which is to be expected because it's like 80 degrees in our kitchen right now and very humid. So you may have to, if that is the case, if you're in summer and it's really humid and you know your dough is looking pretty wet like this, you can add more flour as needed. In the winter time, you probably won't have that issue. So I'm just gonna knead this for another 10 minutes, and then we'll let the dough rest for 5 minutes, and then we will roll it, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is what the dough should look like. It's really soft, pliable, easy to work with. I just added a few sprinkles of flour to get it to this state. It is like 90% humidity in the kitchen right now. And now we can basically just let it rest before rolling. All right, so it's time to roll. The dough's rested for a few minutes, and it's actually so warm in here that it's already like starting to rise a bit. So you're gonna wanna roll it out to like about a 1/2 inch thickness. They're going to puff up quite a bit in the proofing process, which normally we proof around an hour, but in this heat and today in this kitchen, I would probably only do like maybe 40 minutes. I think that's probably all it needs. So that's about a 1/2 inch thickness. I have a drinking glass here. That's what I'm gonna use as a cutter. You can also use like an actual biscuit cutter if you have that. I'm just gonna flour the edges. And then I start really close to the edge so that I'm not wasting as much dough. So I cut that out, and you have a little English muffin there. Now I'm gonna put them onto a sheet pan with semolina flour. You could also use really fine cornmeal, but this is like, you know when you get the English muffins in the package and they have that like sandy stuff on the bottom, that's semolina. And this will just prevent them from sticking. And I'll just keep cutting. We learned how to make these English muffins when we were living in Beijing, because even though I really never liked English muffins growing up, I had this weird craving for them when we were like, when you can't have something, you're suddenly like, oh wow, I actually really want that. So we learned how to make them simply because I was craving them in China when we were living there and couldn't get them. And then I found out how easy they were to make and how much better they taste when you make them yourself. This one has like a little bite taken out of it because I have like kind of a cut, like it was like the edge of another cut. That's fine, it'll just puff right back up. These dough scraps you can just re-knead and then re-roll. So nothing is gonna go to waste in this recipe. And you're aiming to get between 12 and 16 English muffins out of this. If you're anywhere in that range, you're good. And you can also, I'm using this glass, but if your cutter is a little bit bigger and your English muffins end up being a little bit bigger, that's also totally fine. Especially if you want to make like an Eggs Benedict or something and you want to have a lot of surface area. So sometimes you're left with this little lump of dough at the end. So what I usually do is I just take this and I knead it, and then I just kind of flatten it with my hand into a circle. And it'll kind of end up being this like little runt English muffin, which is fine. You can just toast it and enjoy it with some butter. Don't have to be precious about it. It's just a little flat circle. So now we're just gonna cover these with a towel. We're gonna let them rise. Normally it'll take about an hour for these to double in size, but because I'm literally standing here sweating and I slept in the basement last night because it's so hot in here, I think, I don't know, maybe even 30 minutes might do it until they double. I can already see them sort of already puffing up, the ones that I cut earlier. So it shouldn't take long, but once they've sort of puffed up, almost doubled in size, we'll be ready to cook them. Okay, so we're ready to cook the English muffins now. So I've heated this cast iron pan over medium heat. It's nice and hot. And once you've heated it, you wanna just brush it with a light layer of oil. You don't want too much oil in here. So I just use a brush. You'll need about 2 tablespoons of oil to cook the entire batch of muffins. Here are the English muffins all risen, so you can see they're nice and puffy. Some of them you see have like kind of stuck together a bit, and because the dough is so like puffed up, it's kind of hard to separate them. So I just kind of cut them like this, and just like that, they're separated. You just want to be careful not to let them touch any other muffins because they will kind of just stick to each other again. And now I'm just going to put them in the pan. So the easiest way to do this is to use a thin metal spatula just to lift the muffin off of the pan. If you try to lift it with your hands, they sometimes end up getting like dents in them. So I'm just gonna scoop it like that. And then just put it in the pan, just like that. They're gonna cook about 6 minutes on each side for 12 minutes total, and you're only gonna flip it once. So just kind of let it sit undisturbed. And that's why you wanna keep your heat at medium so that you're not getting, you know, the pan's not getting too hot and they're not getting scorched on the bottom. All right, it's been 6 minutes, so they're ready to flip.
Ooh. Ah.
You'll see this side of the English muffin looks like kind of like that sandy bottom that you get on English muffins from the store. And now we just cook these for another 6 minutes. They look almost done. Toasted one.
Oh boy, those look good.
These are the best. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to open the English muffin if you want the nooks and crannies. Don't just cut through it with a knife, you gotta do it with a fork. So you just kinda like, I like to do it with the fork, the tines going up, because I think that that makes for a nice shape.
I'm kind of a tines down person.
Really?
Yep. And actually, to tell you the truth, I always used to, when I was growing up as a kid, Thomas's English Muffins, I used to just cut it with a knife. So let's see how this compares. Cut it with a knife.
Thomas's English muffins are,
They're already split.
yeah.
They're kind of I guess, they're kind of, they got the holes in them, but I still put a run of knife through them.
Okay, so you just go around the muffin until you're all the way around, and then you open it up.
Oh, look at those.
And then you got nice nooks and crannies, and you can see here, we toasted one. You can see what they look
magic.
like. It's nice and crispy.
You know what? If they're out of the cast iron pan, I wouldn't even toast it. I just like it just like that.
Yeah, they're good. They are good fresh. You want to eat the fresh one, and I'll eat the toasted one.
Well, I actually had a fresh one already, so I'll eat the toasted one.
We can split it. Because I like mine toasted.
Ooh, you got a lot of butter on that one.
I don't skimp on butter anymore. Been around Justin too long.
You know, I'd have to say, you gotta get either a nice European butter, or my new favorite thing is cultured butter. Very, very good. Especially if you got a local creamery near you with a farm. That cultured butter is just another level.
The cultured butter almost tastes like a little bit slightly cheesy. Would you say?
It's just
it has more flavor.
super good.
Okay.
Is it
I'll
melty
give you
enough?
the good one.
Should we put it under the...
Oh, this is fine.
Bring it closer. Wait.
He just wants to eat it. You're trying to film.
I
We're
want to
trying to
see
eat.
how crunchy this is, right? Ready? That's a big crunch. Oh boy. I tell you, these on a Sunday morning, these on any morning, is just so good. And yeah, after you toast them, I mean, these are...
And you guys saw how easy it was to make. It really, you could get up in the morning and make these, start making them at like 8 o'clock, and you're eating English muffins by like 10, by like brunch time.
Man, it's good.
So good. We also have a multigrain English muffin recipe, which if you wanted to make these a little bit healthier, you just use a multigrain cereal mix. The process is very similar, and the muffins are just as tasty.
And doesn't your mother have a pumpkin,
There's
English muffin?
a pumpkin one for fall too.
And you can really be creative and just do whatever you want. How's that? It is, right? I mean, when you taste them side by side, when you get toasted and you get a little crust on them, and they're kind of hot, melts the butter. It's the ultimate. I remember, Sarah, when you first made this recipe, I was amazed. That was like 10 years ago, 10 years ago.
It was in Beijing.
And then you put it in the blog, and now, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I haven't had it in 10 years. We didn't make it, but formally appreciating it, sitting down and eating it. Some recipes just never get old, and this is one of them.
Daddy. Do the knife scraping things. We've been... No, you gotta do like that. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
I don't know what you're
Clearly you're not on the internet.
No.
Hold the muffin.